Recording now.
Perfect. Thank you, Melly. All right, so we've got, looks like LeBron is on right now and Roxy, so a small group. We're going to go ahead and get started. And the reason is, no matter who's on this call, this is a question I get asked all the time. Should I join a team? Does it make sense to join a team? Why would I join a team? What do they expect? What's expected of me? What happens if we go our separate ways? How do I get on a team and off a team? There's so many different questions agents ask. So I have a series of questions I put together, and it really helps agents self-discover if joining a team makes sense or if it doesn't, right? And it goes through all the normal stuff that agents always ask about teams. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into it, and we'll pause, ask questions, answer questions, add stuff to it, and you'll leave today, anybody that's either watching live now or that watches this later, with really a better, deeper understanding of what a team is, how most of them operate, and if it makes sense or not for you. So I'm going to do a screen share. So let's do this. Screen share, screen one, share, and let's go ahead and jump in. So, okay, so should I join a team? All right, so here are the series of questions that we'll go through, and they're not necessarily in any particular order, but they're ones I'd want you to sit down, take a piece of paper, and write your own answers to. And this will help walk you through whether or not it makes sense. All right, and don't second guess these questions. When I ask these questions, I mean your gut instinct. Don't second guess it, just write down your answer. Okay, so if you have a piece of paper and a pen, here's where I'd start, right? Are you okay branding the team rather than branding you? Okay, what does that mean? One of the main reasons you're joining a team is you get the benefit of we, right? And it confuses the public if an agent has their personal Facebook, I mean, not personal, but a separate business Facebook page, and the team has a separate business page, and the office has a business page. It all needs to be cohesive, right? So that means all the branding, all the marketing, everything would be about the team, and you would be part of that team. Are you okay with that, right? Now, does that mean your name goes on a sign? Well, we'll talk about the way different teams operate later in just a few minutes, specialist model, generalist model. Usually your name would still be on the sign. You're the listing agent, but it would have the team logo, the team name on there. So it's about the team. In websites like Zillow, right? It would be the team. You'd be part of that team on Zillow. All marketing, all emails, everything's about the team. So are you okay with that? You're branding the team rather than branding you individually. It's a question you have to answer for yourself, right? The next few questions are going to help you narrow down the different types of teams that are out there, because they all do business different ways, right? And the answer to these questions will help you decide which team might make sense if a team makes sense for you, okay? So some teams do a lot of open houses. That's one of their main pillars to lead generation. And they'll promote the open houses, help people get there. They have a whole follow-up plan afterwards. They help you with what to say. There was an agent named Chris Suarez. He moved to a city, didn't know anybody, did $20 million in volume his first year. That's $600,000 in income, holding other agents' homes open, right? Really good at open houses. He ended up opening up Experience is the name of his team. It's now an expansion team. And one of the pillars they do are open houses. And we have 23 teams in this office, 23, right? So, and they all run a little differently. Some might be really heavy on for sale by owners and expireds and cold calling, right? Others might be luxury, others might be warm referral-based business. Others might have pillars like online lead generation, where they're getting calls, incoming calls coming in, you have to convert them. Some do a lot of open houses. And a lot of them do a combination of usually 2 or 3 big things, right? Usually is sphere and referral, and then 1 or 2 other big ones, okay? So are you okay with doing open houses each weekend? One thing I'll tell you about that is an open house, let's say you're there for 3 hours, takes you, 30 minutes to set up, 30 minutes to break down. It's not just sitting there. You can sit there at an open house and get no business from it, right? Or you can promote the open house the right way. And if it is a slow open house, do some other work while you're there. Do some follow-up. If you don't want to get on the phone, maybe you're sending some text messages, answer some emails, work on your business systems. But some teams do a good bit of open houses. Okay, are you comfortable handling online leads? Write down your answer to that question. What experience do you have handling online leads? Because this really goes both ways, and you'll see as the pieces start coming together. it's not just what does the team do for me, it's what can I do for the team, right? It's both ways. It needs to be symbiotic, right? You're helping each other, okay? Are you comfortable handling online leads? Some teams, that's where they get a lot of their business. Maybe they're paying for Google pay-per-click. Maybe they're doing, Realtor or Zillow or OpCity or, Boomtown or Curator or Follow Up Boss, or the list goes on and on and on of the different places agents get leads online. That's more of a volume thing. It's not that the leads aren't good. It's just it's a numbers thing. NAR says the average conversion rate is it ends up to be about 1%. It gives a range, but it's about 1%. So for every 100 online leads, you might get one transaction. It doesn't work out like that though. It's like 100, you get nothing. The second 100 leads, you get nothing. All of a sudden, you get 300 leads, and you have somebody that needs to buy and sell. They introduce you to their neighbor who need to buy and sell, and you got 4 transactions, right? But it's all about follow-up. So it's not that the leads aren't good, it just takes a little more time. So online leads. Are you okay calling for sale by owners or expireds? Some teams, that's how they build their business. That's what they do. In today's day and age, I would highly recommend leveraging things like the Keller offers. That way, rather than calling and saying, when are you going to hire the right agent to sell your house? Instead, you can say, hey, I've got an offer I can bring you on your home. I'd love to pop by, take a look at it, and then get you this offer. When can we get together? Totally different conversation, right? Because if they still want to sell their home and you're talking about bringing an offer, of course, you have to go by, take pictures of it, send it in, you get the offer back shortly, right? But again, it's not, are they going to accept that Keller offer? That's not the point. The point is you got your foot in the door, and NAR says almost 90% of people hire a different agent than the one that sold them the house. Do you know why? The agent didn't stay in touch, right? Their old agent.
Happy with them.
Yeah, or they weren't happy with them, right, Tony? Right? So, but some agents are like, it gives me goosebumps to talk about, to call and expire to for sale by owner. I don't want to do it. Great. Don't join a team that does a lot of for sale by owners and expires, right? Unless you want to learn that as a new skill, right? Okay. Next question. Are you okay door knocking? Okay, right now it's not going on very much, but there are teams that do a lot of what's called circle prospecting. So let's say you take a new listing and you're going to be having an open house that first weekend. And the purpose of an open house is not to sell that home, to grow your database, right? To meet more people and hopefully pick up another buyer or seller in the process. So some teams will canvass a neighborhood and they'll knock up and down. They'll say, hey, I don't know if you heard, but your neighbors, the Smiths, just put their house up on the market. We're putting the sign in the yard tomorrow. We're holding an open house this Saturday. I promised the Smiths that I would let the neighbors know first. And we're going to be doing a neighbors only open house from 12 to 1. And then the normal open house is from 1 to 4. It'd be a great time for you to pick your new neighbor. So if you know anybody looking to buy or sell, or you just want to come by and say hello and get some decorating ideas, feel free to come by. A lot of teams do that. Okay. I wouldn't say a lot. A handful of teams do that. If you're not comfortable knocking on the door, don't join a team that does door knocking, right? I want to set you up, if you do join a team, for success, not to be unhappy, right? Okay. Next question. What are your weekly schedule commitments? What do you have that might keep, is this a full-time job for you, or is this part-time? Okay. Most teams will want somebody that has full-time capability, right? Because you never know if it's, especially with buyers, it's like, you got to get out there in this market and see that home quick. As soon as it hits the market, like, you better get out there, because it's probably going to have multiple offers if it's a good deal within a couple days. So you want to be the first one in there. So what are your weekly schedule commitments? What if you work a job that isn't very flexible? Let's say the closing set for Thursday at 2. If something doesn't happen on time, CD doesn't get out on time, or something happens the day before closing, you have to push it out one more day. And instead of closing on Thursday at 2, you have to close on Friday at 9 a.m., 10 a.m., right? Are you able to do that? Because if you can't, it may not make sense to be on a team that's kind of structured with what they're looking for and what they expect. That's why there's other options. And there's really 3 options that I'll give you in a second that cover the whole spectrum, okay? All right, can you work 50 to 60 hours a week when needed? Why do I ask that, right? If you think about it, this business will come in waves. And let me show you, let me grab this. Let me show you what this looks like. Okay, so Here, let me get this out of here so you guys can see what I'm writing. Let's say this is what, can you guys see my screen? Yeah, a little bit. You also see the reflection of the lights looks like. All right, so let's say this is what you need to live. Like if you're talking about your income, let's say this is what you need to just to maintain your standard of living. I know it's kind of hard to see, but it's just a straight line, okay? A lot of agents, their income goes like this. 1 month, I've got all the money I need, I'm doing great. The next month, oh, I can't pay my bills. The next month, oh, I got all the money I need. The next month, I can't pay my bills, right? Do you guys see that? What you want is you want to move this line, and you want this line, rather than being, going above and below, you want this line to be up here, right? That way there's always a gap, a positive gap between what you need to live and what you need and what you're making. However, real estate does kind of go like this. Wouldn't it be nice to say, okay, I'm going to have 36 closings next year. I want to have 3 every single month. That's how I want to do it. 3 every single month. We know in this business, that's not how it works, right? You might have 6 1 month, 7 1 month, and then 1 or 2 the next month, and then 4 the next month, and then 2 the next month, and then 9 the next month, right? As long as that income level is above where you need to live, you're good, right? However, you may have times where you have a lot of closings in a month, and on the right team, you would be doing a lot of volume. That means you're going to have periods where you need to be able to work a decent bit of hours. And if you can't, realize that ahead of time rather than getting in business, tying yourself with somebody else, right? And then realizing later that you can't make that work, okay? Any questions on that? Okay. All right, and I'm not on Facebook, so if anybody's asking questions on Facebook Live, I'm not on there right now. So pop on the Zoom and you can ask questions. Okay, next one. How long do you want to be on a team? Write down your answer right now. You're considering joining a team. How long do you want to be on a team? Here's why I asked that. It's kind of a trick question, right? It's not a trick question. It's a great question. And the reason is some agents will answer, oh, I just want to maybe 6 months to a year. I just want to learn the business, learn the ropes, and then I'll hop off, right? If that's the case, a team's not the right answer, right? Productivity coaching or something else will be a better option for you. Why? Because a team's going to tie you in to their database, to their people, to their marketing. It takes a lot of time and energy to get you intertwined. And if they have a lot of turnover where an agent's leaving every 6 to 12 months, their database is going to start saying, what's going on? Why do I see new people all the time on the team? If they're going to pour into you, they really want somebody that's going to stay for at least a few years, right? If not longer, somebody they can build a partnership for and create opportunities for. So for the people that run teams, I see we got a number of those on here right now. For the people that run teams, what I would say is you always want, the biggest mistake that I've seen made is the teams don't create opportunities for true talent. Like you've always got to think bigger than the people on your team. Like how can I create an opportunity to make my world big enough to keep this person in my world, right? Where there's always enough for them to grow into. So that challenges the rainmaker of the team to constantly grow. It's so important to grow. But ask yourself, how long do you want to be on a team? If the right answer for an agent that really should be on a team is they'll look at you puzzled and they'll say, well, as long as it's a good fit, I wouldn't leave. That is the person that needs to be on a team that answers that question that way. But if they say the first way, 6 months to a year, I don't know, don't go on a team. That's not the right fit, okay? And feel free to chime in, guys, as I'm talking, so that we can make this interactive if you have any comments on those. Okay, next one. And we can back up on any questions if you need to.
And Aubrey, can I jump in? It's Joanne. How are you?
Yes, Joanne. Doing well. How are you doing?
Good. I think a code word for that hop in, hop out is mentor. I'm looking for a mentor. And we have 2 mentors in the office that are way better than we ever could be. So I think that's another, that's legit that they want a mentor, but that's also a sign that the commitment level's not there.
Right. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. That's exactly right. It's about commitment level, and there is help there for agents that may not be a good fit on a team after looking at these questions, yet there's still options for them. One that I'll mention in a little bit is a lot of them are looking for leads. That's what they're looking for. And I'll give some other solutions to that here in just a few minutes. So thanks for chiming in. Anybody else, as we're going along, feel free to chime. I want you to chime in, so feel free to stop me. Okay, daily, weekly huddles. So teams operate different ways. Some teams, they meet every morning. They do script practice every single morning. Then they hop on the phone. They're banging the phones and making phone calls, right? Other teams, they meet once a week, and they have a team meeting once a week, talk about what they're focusing on that week. Other teams meet once a month, figure out what you're comfortable with. Because you're going from being, if you're going to join a team, you're going from being a 1099 independent contractor, granted you still would be one, but now you're going into a business with expectations. Like as a 1099 independent contractor, individual agent, nobody's tapping you on the shoulder saying, hey, that stuff we talked about this week, you got to do it, right? But a team, there's going to be expectations. You are going to have accountability, right? We'll talk about splits and things like that in a few minutes. And the good news is some agents, they thrive on a team. Some don't. Which one are you? And these questions should, as we're going through them, should help you self-discover if you're right for a team, if a team's right for you. Okay. So daily or weekly huddles, what's your comfort level? How often are you comfortable having those meetings? Some teams lead gen together consistently. Some do it every day. Some do it a couple times a week. Some don't do it at all. Again, this helps you decide which team's the right fit. So if you're watching this video or on Zoom or on Facebook and you're answering these questions, and at the end you do say, oh, I do want to be on a team, come back to me and I'll say, okay, out of the 23 teams, based on your answers, here are the 2 or 3 that would be a good fit. Those are the ones you should go talk with. Don't go talk to everybody. Talk to the ones that, based on your answers, are the right fit for you. Okay. All right. Next question. Why do you want to join a team? What is it that makes you want to join a team? The answers that I probably hear the most often are things like they want a higher level of accountability. They want leads. That's one of the big ones, right? Sometimes individual agents will feel like they're on an island, right? They'll feel like they're doing it on their own, and they really want like a high level of camaraderie and seeing and talking to people and celebrating each other's wins really in a smaller setting on a consistent basis. And they thrive in that environment. So ask yourself, why do you want to join a team? Okay.
And Aubrey, I'll jump in on that. We actually had a conversation yesterday with our team, and Christy actually, it never occurred to her when I interviewed her at the Roswell office when she was getting her license, that it never occurred to her that she would do this on her own. I mean, she knew right away, like, I need to know how to build a team so I can go do it. And, I'm like, it never occurred to her. So that was an aha that we had, just talking to her from other agents that we've been in business with. Everyone has that thought of, I should do this on my own. Like, do the money, do the splits, let me figure this out. She knew from the beginning that joining a team was the together everybody achieves more.
Thank you for mentioning that. We're going to get to something in a minute that presses on that topic a good bit. And one portion of it is, if in your mind you're an individual agent and you have, I'm thinking about joining a team, but I think I can do it on my own. Like, if you have that in your mind, I think I can do it on my own, don't hop on a team yet, right? When you hop on a team, you need to be 100% in. Like, you need to be like, I know I want to be on a team. I know I want that environment. Because if you have it in the back of your head, maybe I could do this on my own, you may hop on a team and then say, I think I'm gonna hop off, and we'll get to splits and things like that in a minute. But let's say the split was a 50-50 on a team. 50% of a lot of deals is a lot better than 100% of zero, right? So I would focus less on splits and more on the opportunity when you're talking to the team. I'll get to what questions to ask a team when we get there. Christy's a great example. I mean, didn't she have like 7 closings last month and like 9 closings in the book for next month or something crazy like that?
She had January was 7 closings, and of course she wanted to up that goal, and then she did 8 closings in July.
Yeah, phenomenal. All right, so we'll jump into that in a little bit. We're actually going to get there in a little bit. Okay, next up, what would be a reason you might not want to join a team? Okay. So I'll give you some examples. Somebody may say, I really, I don't want to, I'm worried about splits. I'm worried about what if I ever did go my separate way, what happens to my database? I'm worried about them pressuring me too much and treating it more like a job than, my own business. I'm worried about, they might say camaraderie and team spirit. I want a really positive, happy, team, a cohesive family. there's a lot of, find out what those reasons are for you. They're different for everybody, you know, and be open with the person you're talking with, the rainmaker of that team, about why you want to join a team or what may make you not want to join a team. All right. Okay. Next one. Oh, and by the way, so for training, the office is here to train you. Like, it's all you might, we're actually going to get to this in a second on what you bring to a team, but the plus to a team is you're going to get all the basics at the office. You're going to get some granular stuff at the office. What you get on a team is you'll have somebody, maybe you can shadow them on a listing appointment, shadow them on a buyer consultation. You will get a little more interaction on a team, but that's not the main reason a team's there, right? A team is there to help you grow together. Like, look at that as a partnership. They need you and you need them. Let's make it a partnership and grow together, but don't look for the team for all of your training. That's what the market center is here for. Okay. All right. What do you bring to a team? Have that, maybe you have, if you're a newer agent and you haven't done a lot of business, maybe you have a background in sales, a background in marketing, a background in being on teams. Maybe you're in sports all through, maybe you did college sports or high school sports. Like, that's the environment you're used to and you miss that environment. You want that environment, right? Or maybe you have a pattern in your history of every job I've ever had, I've been number one this or gotten these promotions. Like, that's your pattern. So talk to them about camaraderie. Tell them, maybe if you have any kind of special certifications you've done, that show who you are as customer service specialist. You're really good at giving good service. Talk to them about how hard you're willing to work. You're good at problem solving. You look at it as it's a team helping each other. You never look at it as that's my job or that's your job. Let's help each other. So talk about what you bring to a team. Okay, here's another one. How many people are in your database right now? Here's one thing I'll tell you. Pretty much every team, a large chunk of their business is their database. They're going to want somebody that has their database somewhat put together. And if they don't, there's probably going to be an expectation on most teams that you put your database together very quickly. A lot of teams have a certain number. You got to have 50 or 100 or 150 before they'll turn on leads for you. Why? A good team, and not all teams operate this way, a good team can take a database that wasn't getting hardly any results and then plug it into the right system, and all of a sudden sales and everything start happening, right? And a lot of times agents will take that for granted. They'll see business coming from their database. They'll say, well, I think I can do this on my own. And then I find they hop off the team and, 6 months later, their business has fallen off. Why? Because they didn't know how to nurture their database. They weren't doing it the way the team was. And we'll talk about what teams cover, what they pay for, why that's good, how it helps in a few minutes. We'll talk about cons too, pros and cons. But put your database together. And your business, as Gary says, is your database. If you say, oh, I don't really have a database, I haven't, lived here for too long, right? Okay, look at your Facebook account. That's a database. How many people do you have in there that could be in your database if you put the information together? Great place is LinkedIn, right? Start popping in and looking at those social media platforms and saying, oh, well, I do actually have a database. Put the information together, have that when you're going to a team, all right? Some teams, they don't do much with their database. It's mainly for sale by owners and expireds and online leads. So if you don't have a database at all, you don't want to put one together, you don't want to talk to your people, don't go on a team that's the main source of their business, right? Go on a different team, okay? There's 23 here, so they all operate differently. Okay, next one. By the way, before I jump into that, any questions so far or comments?
I'll add to that, Aubrey, on the bring value to the team. We're tracking, where leads come from, whether it's the team ISA set it or it was a team generated lead, and then also is it the agent generated. Mm-hmm. So that's not just Sphere, because a lot of agents may have a say, they're not buying houses right now, or homeowners. So, but we just track, is that an E rated third? It's the team, and then the last third is you bringing value, whether it's a door knocking, calling somebody, just networking, but you're out there on that three-legged stool doing your third leg with the team. Right. So that's how we look at it.
Yeah, a lot of teams, common goals, 36 transactions, 12, 12, and 12. Like 12 you'll get from the team, 12 you guys will do together, and 12 you'll bring, from your database. And it should all always be tagged. If it's ran the right way, you'll be able to track where the lead came from, and a third should be from the agent. So, all right, specialist model versus generalist model. All right, specialist model would mean if you're a listing agent, all you do is listings, you don't handle buyers. Right? Or if you're a buyer's agent, all you handle are buyers and you don't handle listings, right? And most agents, if they're newer, will start off obviously on the buying end. And some agents going in are like, oh, well, what if my best friend needs to sell their house? Here's how you'd handle that conversation. If you're talking to Sally, you would say, Sally, all right, I'm on an awesome team. We're excited to help you. And here's how this works. On the selling end, I'm going to get you connected with Judy on our team. Judy's our main listing specialist. She's going to help you. And I'm involved. I know what's going on. You can call me and talk to me. She's the main one handling the listing side. And then when we're going to buy, we're hopping in the car. I'm your girl. I'm driving around with you. We're looking at houses, your guy, right? We're driving around. We're looking at houses. I'm walking you through every step of the way. You can handle that. That's okay, right? But that's a specialist model. Pick one or the other. That's what you're doing. Generalist model is the team allows you to do both, listings or buyers. They're going to teach you the team way to do the listing so everybody's singing the same tune. But not all teams are generalist model. Not all teams are specialist model. What's important to you? That, again, helps narrow down which team makes the most sense. So we have teams here in the office that operate both ways. So pick which one's important to you. Questions, comments? Nope. Okay. All right, next one. Typical team splits and structures. I want to give you an example right now. And here's what I'll tell you. They're kind of all over the map. Let's say the average is a 50-50 split, right? 50% to the team, 50% to the agent. I'm actually going to draw out in a second. I'm actually going to draw out exactly what that looks like because I think that would be helpful. I'll pull it up and I'll join this Zoom on my iPad so you guys can see. I noticed on the board, since it was glossy, you couldn't really see very well. So I'll hop on with my iPad so we can do that. Okay. And then so let's say it was a 50-50 split. Here's what I would explain to you. And I said this a little bit earlier, right? 50% of a lot is a lot better than 100% of nothing. Let's say there's one team that does it where you get a higher split if you bring the deal. There's like your database, you get 60% or 65%, right? If they give it to you, you get a little lower. Or some teams say if you do a listing, you get less because it costs us more money, but if it's a buyer, you get more. But let's say the average is, 50-50, okay? Okay, so let me give you an example. So I'm gonna use a piece of paper because I'm having on my iPad, wait, there we go, it does have it. I'm gonna log on because we're already on the agent services. There we go. Okay, now I should be able to sign in. Okay. All right, let me grab my pen and we should be good in just a second. All right, I'm gonna give you two examples of two teams. Okay, and these are real examples. I just won't name all the teams. Okay, let's say you're talking with one team and they say, we'll give you 70% of every one of your transactions. You can have it. All we're gonna ask for is 30% of every transaction. Okay, so that's one team, right? They're giving you they're giving you a lot of your commission. That's not very common. You don't see that, but this is a real example, right? Then there's another team that the team gets 70% of it, right? Which team would you join? The one where you get 70 or the one where the team gets 70, right? First answer, and most agents are like, well, the one where I get 70, that makes sense, right? That's not the right question. What if I then told you that this team was, Andy and Leslie's team, and that agent was Jenny Mosier, and she made $300 and something thousand after all splits. And this agent, I won't name the team, right, had 3 sales that year. Again, 50%, 60%, 70% of a lot is a lot better than 100% of nothing, right? And I want to show you guys like how it actually breaks down, what that actually looks like. And my iPad's not wanting to cooperate. That's okay, because I can pivot and adapt. And what we're going to do is we're going to go with a spreadsheet, and not spreadsheet, but a document. So, all right, so can you guys still see my screen?
No.
No? Okay, let me share it. Share screen, desktop 1. I'm gonna break it down like this. Okay, so you can see my screen now, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so let's say it was a $10,000 commission check. Okay, $10,000 commission check. Okay, and let's say the split was 50-50. Let's say 5,000 goes to your side. Okay, and then 5,000 goes to the team. Okay, that would be an example of like 50-50. Okay, all right, then what happens, right? When you're on a team, your cap, rather than being 18, it gets dropped to 10.5. It's called a half cap because if you look at the cap, it's 15,000 plus 3, right? So half cap is half of 15, 7,500, but we can't change the royalty. It's always 3. So that's 10,500, okay? So your cap goes down, but you're giving, you know, a large part of your commission to the team. All right, so what does that look like? All right, well, if you have 30% that comes out, then you've got 1,500, right, that comes out to the team, 1,500. That's your 30% split to the office, okay? And then you've got 6% to in royalties. That would be in this scenario $300, right? 6% franchise fee, royalty. Okay, so I'll just leave out FMLS for now. I just want to make this like apples to apples, right? So check cut to you, what does that work out to? What's 5 minus 1,800? 3,200, right? Okay. All right. Okay. Well, the team, they have their split as well. Rainmaker pays, you know, the regular cap, 18,000, and that money isn't $5,000 in their checking account. If it's the right team, guys, they're dumping it back into you, like they're into the team. They're creating more business. They're holding client event parties. They're doing marketing, lead generation, you know, touches to the database, touches during the transaction, after the transaction. Like they're doing all kinds of, they're paying for, we'll get to what all they pay for usually in a second, but they're taking care of almost all your costs. So your cost, you're getting rid of most of your costs. That'll be the next topic we talk about, is I'll show you what's typically covered, right? So $10,000 commission check, right? And you're walking away with probably 3,200. However, you just paid $1,800 towards your $10,500 cap, right? So in this scenario, sales 0 through 5, right? You're making, they're at about, you know, let's say if that was your average price point was 300 and some change, you're getting about 3,200 each, right? So that gives you about $16,000. Let's say your goal was to make $100,000. When I'm talking about what team to choose and splits and everything, the right question isn't what's your split. The better question is, here are the goals I'd love to achieve. Is this possible on your team? And if your goal is $100,000 to make $100,000, you've been struggling to get there. And then I would ask the team, like, who, and this will make the team Rainmakers nervous, but that's okay. I'm not taking sides here. I'm here to help everybody, right? I would ask the Rainmaker of that team, who on your team's made $100,000? Here's my goal. Who on your team has made $100,000, right? And if, or a better question would be, has someone on your team made $100,000, right? And you can look and see who the agents are in these teams and find out, but ask that question, like, can I hit my goals on your team? If so, show me how, okay? So in this scenario, sales 0 through 5, you're getting, you know, 3,200 each, so about $16,000. Okay, well, that leaves us a balance, right? So if we have, let me make sure I did my math right, 3,200 times 5, is that, yeah, 16,000. Okay, so that leaves us with, if we wanted to make $100,000, right? One more zero, okay. $100,000 minus 16, that leaves us 84. Well, after we've hit our cap, because after about 5 sales or so, we would have been capped, divide that by, now we're getting $5,000 per sale. That's another 17 sales, right? So then sale 6 through 17, you're getting $5,000 each, right? Because you're not having to pay the office anymore, equals another $84,000. So total equals $100,000. So how many sales do you need to do that? About 18, 17, 18, right? So, oh, plus the 5. What did that calculator say? Hang on, I might have done my math wrong. It was 84 divided by 5. Yeah, 17. So it's actually 17 plus 5 is 23. Okay. So I would ask the team, like, is it possible for me to do 23 sales on your team? Has anyone on your team done that, right? What would I need to do on the team to ensure that I hit 23 sales this year? If your goal is 100,000, if your goal is 50 and you're looking at joining a team, there is no reason you wouldn't be able to join a team. Here's what I have seen. The agents that plug in on a team, typically, if it's the right team, they make great money. Their average income can be higher than an agent not on a team. Being completely open with you, I also don't see agents on teams very often making $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 a year. If you're happy in the wheelhouse of, let's say, 80 to 200, I can see that happening on a team all day long, right? To get past 200 or 300 on a team, there's gonna have to be some opportunity for you. Like, you have to earn it. You don't just get it, you have to earn it, right? So that's a typical breakdown of how a 50-50 split might work on a team. So that example is 50-50 split. And if you're talking to a team that has a different split, then just run the numbers. Open up an Excel document, run the numbers, and figure out what you need to do to hit the income you need, the sales that need to happen and everything else to get that income. Okay. So questions on that? I kind of flew through that kind of quickly. I want to make sure that makes sense.
Are you going to do the other scenario, Aubrey, where it's 70-30 split or whatever the other split was that you mentioned? Works the same way, I guess.
I should have done an Excel document. That would have made this a lot easier.
No, it's cool. You just copy what you got down there, and
yeah, it would be. I mean, so you really, if you be like, let's take this. Let's just copy this, and let's paste this down here. So most teams won't be 70. They usually won't take that much. However, let's say it was a 70-30. 70 you, 30, right? So in this scenario, that would be 3,000 to you, and this is it. Are you doing 70 in your favor? Most teams, I don't know any teams here or really anywhere that give the agent 70%. The highest I've seen is like 60, maybe 65. And again, focus more on the volume that you can do on that team than the split that they actually have. Because if it's 65, 70%, but you're only gonna do 4 transactions, it doesn't make any sense, but let's say 70% to the team and 30% split to you. To you. All right, and then in that scenario, you're getting 3,000. We'll adjust these. Here we go. So 3,000 times 0.3 is 900 to the office minus the office, 30% split, right? Okay, and then 3,000 times 0.06 is 180 for the franchise fee. Okay, and that doesn't need to have a zero comma there. All right, so that means you're getting, what does that leave you with? 10,000 or 3,000 rather.
1920.
1920. Okay, all right. So 1920. Okay, how many sales would it take you to cap? Well, take 10,500. I'm making it more simple than it is, but 10,500 divided by 1920, 5 sales. Did I do that right? It was 1920 to you?
1820.
Yeah. 1820? Okay. 1820. Okay. So 10,500 divided by 1820, about 6 sales. So, and actually this one, in this scenario, you paid, that's why. Okay. If you're going to do a $10,500 cap, you just paid 900 plus 180, you paid 1080 towards that cap. So actually, here's how it would work. 10,500 divided by 1080. So it'd take you about 10 sales. So sales 0 through 10 at 1820 each. Okay, equals, let's see.
18,
Yeah, exactly. 18,200. Yeah. Okay, 200. Okay, so then if we take our goal of $100,000 minus 18,200, we still have 81,800 left. divide that by 1820 per closing, you need 45 more transactions. So sale 11 through 54, you're getting $3,000 each, which gives you that remainder of what is that? What's 100,000 minus 18.2? That was 81.8. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. Okay, makes sense. And then you guys can run the numbers and play with it. Do you understand how I got there? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. All right, perfect. Any questions or comments on that before I show you like what teams usually pay for and a couple other questions?
That was awesome. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so all right, so typical team splits and structures, they usually range from 40% to you on each sale to about 65% to you on each sale. That's a pretty typical range, 40 to 65. Most of them hover in 50-50, but 40 to 65 is pretty typical on most sales for your portion, okay? Again, look at what your goals are. Look at what the amount of volume you can do on that team. And if it's a higher volume, it's kind of like this. If the team does higher volume, right, then their split to you will probably be a little less, but because of the volume, it more than makes up for it. Where if a team doesn't do much volume, they might give you a better split to try to make up for the lack of volume. So look at your opportunity on the team more so than what their splits are, okay? Okay, cost breakdown, like what's typically covered, what's typically not covered on a team. So let's take a look at that really quick. All right, so let's go back to this, right? What's typically covered? So on a team, you'll typically see they'll cover signs, lock boxes, they'll cover marketing to your database, they'll cover lead gen, they'll cover client event parties, they'll cover, what else am I missing? Some of the teams, tell me some stuff, what else am I missing on here?
What did you repeat what you just said?
Signs, lock boxes, marketing, photography, staging,
staff, admin.
Yeah, admin. Yeah.
Leverage.
Rent.
Leverage. Also an education stipend. We do education stipends throughout the year.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
So
Rent.
there's, what's that?
Rent.
Rent. Okay, yeah, if there's office space, yeah, rent. Yep. Yep. A lot of the touches that happen maybe during and after a sale, you know, they might do reimbursements or pay for closing gifts. I mean, essentially you get to a point on a team where all you're really paying for is, they're paying for business cards and all other stuff too, is really like your gas, you know, maybe your monthly office bill, and some teams pay for the office bill, some don't. But really you don't have many costs. So like, let's look at this commission check that we're talking about before, and my screen should be up right now. If you had a $10,000 commission check, some people will say, well, why would I give up 50% of it? Like, there goes 50% of my income. That's actually not the case. You spent money to do all of this stuff down here, right? And MREA says only about 40% of that money actually ends up being profit, right? So the spread the team's actually getting is maybe 10% of the money, and they're doing everything for you, right? You don't have to worry about the overhead and everything else. So that you're not actually giving up, in this scenario, $5,000, you might be giving up 1,000, 1,500, you know, to have somebody in your life that's giving you business you wouldn't have had otherwise, and helping you get more business and teaching you. Here's one other aspect that a plus to a team. I'll give you both sides. You're around somebody that, you look at NAR, 80% of agents, not at this office, but 80% of the agents in NAR, National Association of Realtors, are out of the business in 2 years, 80% of them, right? The ones that are on teams hardly ever get out of the business when they're on that team, right? Why? Because they have a top producer taking them under their wing and showing them the right way to do things, right? They're almost ensuring their success when that agent plugs in. They're going to have closings, they're going to have business as long as they do the activities, right? So there's expectations there too. That's also a negative. Like, if you left your corporate job to be on your own, you don't want somebody setting expectations and holding you accountable, don't join a team. Don't join a team. But that also means you need to do the things you need to do to be successful. So these are some of those things we just talked about that teams pay for, if you can see those. So did I miss anything on there? Signs, lock boxes, marketing your database, lead generation, client event parties, photos, staging, admin, rent, touches during and after, closing gifts. What else is there? That's probably most of it. Yep. Okay. All right, questions so far? None? Okay. Okay. All right. Next one, we talked about what's usually covered. And let me go back to this. There we go. Okay. All right, that's most of the questions that I had. Here's what I will tell you. Teams, it's not just what, if you go to a team and say, what are you going to do for me? That's not the right attitude. It needs to be, like I said earlier, symbiotic. Like, here's why I want to join a team. Here's what I bring to a team. Here are my goals. Is this possible on your team, right? And then for them, right, same thing with them. They're going to say, here's what we're going to do for you. Here's how we can help you. Here's why we're excited to have you. That makes sense, right? So all the teams operate a little differently. We went through probably 24 questions to help you narrow down which ones might be the right fit for you. We got a good group actually on now. I just looked at this. What did I not ask that maybe, or a question I posed or information I gave that I should have? What would we leave out? What's on your mind that we didn't talk about that you really wanted to talk about?
Hey, Aubrey.
Yes, Michael.
When you're interviewing for a team, the team is also interviewing you, so it's got to be a good fit. If it isn't, then it's just going to be dysfunctional and doing disjustice to all parties.
Right. Yes. Yes. It has to be a good fit for all the way around. And you'll know, people make decisions emotionally and back it up with logic. Most teams are going to go through, it actually leads into a couple more things. Thanks, Michael. Do your KPA ahead of time. If you're considering joining a team, almost all the teams are going to ask for a KPA. They're going to use that to learn more about who you are. Okay. Part of that KPA process is life story and motivational interview. I love the motivational interview, right? And that's where you talk about where are your goals, where do you want to be 5 years from now, to use the word awesome to describe every aspect of your life. And then you go through the different categories that are important to them, and you see, is joining a team in alignment, with where you want to be? And if it is, that's awesome. And if it's not, that's okay too, right? It has to make a lot of sense. I wrote down the word breakup here to remember to talk about this, because this is a common one, and one that unfortunately in this role I didn't realize I would get in the middle of so often. But there can be messy breakups on teams. And this is why it's so important to ask the right questions ahead of time and make sure you're joining a team for the right reasons, and make sure that team's the right fit for you and you're the right fit for the team. If there is a breakup, before you go on the team, you need to kind of have a prenup, right? The team agreement. And it needs to outline what happens, and for the agents, that are on the call, not necessarily the rainmakers, but this is my personal view, is if you're going on to a team, your personal database should always be your personal database. Like somebody you met at the gym, you're on, something at school, you're on parent-teacher association, like those people, your database, right? Where it gets a little like gray area is, okay, here's the opposite ends of the spectrum. Your database, everybody like they're your people. Other end of the spectrum, teams paying for leads, creating leads, right? Then obviously they own those. Okay, here's where it gets messy. What if you hold an open house, okay, and you meet somebody at the open house, okay, and that person does business, and then they refer you to somebody else. You became friends with the person in the process, they refer you to somebody else. Whose is that, right? And different teams are going to have different views. I'll give you a couple different perspectives. The agent perspective may say, well, the team would have never met that other person if I didn't become friends with that person and create that relationship. The team's going to say, well, we paid to market that property. We paid to get people to that door, right? And you wouldn't have met that person if you didn't hold that open house and we didn't market for it, right? You really have to go through all the if this, then that, like what would it look like? Because you got to have clarity going in. If it ever did, and you never wanted to, but if it ever did go their separate ways, what does that look like? What lead belongs to who? I told you I'm unbiased here. I'm gonna give you both sides. Being completely open with you, if you're jumping on a team, you are helping somebody else build their business, right? You're not building your own brand and your own name. That's why the first question I ask is, are you okay branding somebody else rather than branding you, right? There's pros and cons to that. you will still have your database, right? However, you're going to learn more than you probably ever would have learned elsewhere on a great team. You're going to have camaraderie, team spirit, people lifting you up. Your chances of success are usually higher on a team. Your production is usually higher on a team. So there's a lot of pros, but also keep in mind, you're helping somebody else build theirs. Are you okay with that, right? Start with the right team agreement, look through it, make sure it answers all the what ifs as well. All right, questions, comments on that? Did I hit everything? What didn't I hit? What else do you have a burning desire to ask that we didn't talk about?
Aubrey, I have a quick question for you.
Yeah, Tony.
How is it looked upon by, and of course it varies individually, but how is it generally looked upon by a team if you say, hey, you know what, I want to try and learn the business myself. I want to give it a go. Experienced business person, experienced salesperson, that sort of thing. So I don't want to join the team just yet. But later on, say a year from now or whatever, after getting knocked around or whatever, someone considers joining a team. How's that generally looked upon?
So a lot of teams, Tony, great question, by the way. A lot of teams actually would prefer an agent that's gone at it on their own and self-discovered that a team's where they need to be for two reasons. One, maybe during that time that agent's done 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 deals, they're not green. Like a lot of teams don't have the capacity to sit down and say, here's how you fill out a buyer brokerage. Here's how you do an amendment to address concerns. It's like they want somebody that has that understanding, that baseline of doing business, and then they can take that agent and take it to the next level. Now, I do see other teams that really want to be able to mold somebody from day one. So it kind of depends on the team, but I'd say the majority of them want somebody that has at least a little bit of experience, so they're not starting off at absolute square one. Like that person, they could feed leads to immediately and feel confident that person knows how to transact business. We got some teams on here right now, some Rainmakers. What would you guys add to that? Anything I didn't say? Do you want experienced or not experienced agents? What would you prefer?
Experienced.
Yeah, there's Scott. Got a few others on there. Who else? Green, or some experience?
It really depends on their KPA and your interview with them. I mean, if you see the sparkle in their eyes, I would be more than willing to train them the way I wanted to.
There you go. Yep, absolutely. All right, somebody else give me their view on it. We got a few more teams. I see Sarah's on here and a few others that have teams. Joanne, I know you were on here a second ago too. Yeah.
Hi, Aubrey. It's Sarah.
Hey, Sarah. Yeah.
I've taken on 2 new agents and 2 with experience. I would say that, in my opinion, even the ones with experience, I've still had to coach and groom, which I love, helping, teach them kind of how to put a great offer together, how our team sends an offer over. So there's still a lot of experience to be gained by working with a team. It's great if they already know how to write a few offers, but of course we can help get them there with the right support. So I would say either. It just depends on the fit, really.
Yeah, on the person. Yeah, great answer. Yeah, who else didn't get a chance to chime in? They might want to on that particular topic. Experienced versus green. I think most everybody had a chance to. So okay.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Sarah. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. All right, let's take a couple more questions. What other questions you guys have, or comments, or things we didn't talk about on this Zoom so far?
Aubrey, it's Michael again.
Hey, Michael. Yeah.
It's one thing that we didn't touch a base on is really time. As a team, you get more time, right? So if you're a buyer's agent, you're showing more property because you have the backbone and the back end of the office helping you out with paperwork and setting up appointments and scheduling inspections. So that gives the buyer's agent more time. And it helps the Rainmaker because they're not out showing property.
Yes, that's why I wanted my iPad to work.
And then one last thing too is, if anybody is like Roxy and I, we love our vacation. So, as a Rainmaker, we could go on vacation, but if somebody on the team wants to go on vacation, the team is there to help them out so they don't have to worry about work while they're on vacation.
Good point, Michael. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm going to, here we go. Yep. Okay. I don't have it easily handy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to give you a quick rundown of how this works. Okay. So let's say average commission is $10,000, right? Would you guys agree that individual agent, okay, you know, you're doing a transaction, you could get that done in 40 hours total, right? Between your initial consultation, let's say it's on the buy-in, you know, showing, assuming they don't look at 80 properties, right? But initial consultation, showing them some properties here and there, getting through inspection, amendments, you know, talking to the lender, the closing attorney, getting copies of documents back and forth, you know, going to the close, like all that stuff. Would you agree probably 40 hours would be a logical amount of time to spend with total with a buyer for a closing? Take that as a yes, right?
Yeah.
All right. So if you take $10,000, right, and you divide that with a single individual agent doing absolutely everything by themselves, they're making $250 an hour, right? Okay. All right. Think about this. On the right team, let's say you have a really powerful team and they're able to, the second you go under contract, like the goal as an agent, there was a girl, oh, Joanne, you might remember her name. I can't remember what team she's on. Her hair is pretty long. She did like 300 and something deals as a buyer's agent, and she had some showing agents. What is her name? We've had her talk.
Oh, Jen Davis. Jen Davis.
Yeah, Jen. Yeah, I mean, think about that for a second. 300 something transactions, one agent, and she leveraged some showing agents. Here's what you want to get to as an agent. Your job is not the $15 an hour activity shuffling paperwork, right? Your job as an agent is the trusted advisor that's going to help them negotiate contracts and protect their best interests. Like you're showing a property or you're pricing home if you're on the listing side, right? You're negotiating, protecting the biggest financial investment of their life, right? So you're writing the amendments, you know, you're things like that, right? So think about this. You're not necessarily the one that should be getting a copy of the contract to the lender and the closing attorney and checking in every couple of days to make sure things going okay and what's missing and what might not happen. You don't have to be the one checking for receipts to see if the repairs were done on time. You don't have to be the one setting up the final walkthrough or setting up blank. Like all of that can be done by an admin, right? And if you think about how much time, if your job really is just to show a handful of properties and then negotiate the contract and everything else is done, right? Would you agree that you could probably get rid of 20, 30 hours of work, right, in between? Where if you just meet them for initial consultation for an hour, let's say you show them 15 properties, you go under contract, and you might have spent a total of, 6 or 7 hours total doing that. So now we're up to about 7 hours, 8 hours, right? And then maybe another 2 or 3 hours doing, amendment to address concerns and then attending the closing. And we're talking probably 10 hours total if everything else is handled by a great admin, right? If we do that, right, and let's say that split on that team was 50-50, and now you're doing, so your side is $5,000, and you divide that by 10 hours, right? What does that work out to an hour?
500.
Right? You just gave yourself a raise. That's why when you're on the right team, it makes more sense. Yes, you might be, agents can look at it as, oh, I'm giving up this percent. Well, not all that's profit of the team. They're paying for the stuff that got the business, right? And your time's better spent, to Michael's point, doing better dollar per hour activities, right? And great point on actually having leverage. If you want to take a vacation, you've got a team that can help you, right? You guys help each other. There's also, and I told you I'd play both sides of this, right? There's an argument to be had where if you're an individual agent, go find some agents that you're friends with in the office and say, look, when you go on vacation, I'll help you. And when I'm on vacation, you help me. There's ways to do this. If a team, after going through these questions, doesn't seem like the right fit, that's okay, right? Don't go on a team just to go on a team. Find other solutions that help you get where you're going to go. Remember earlier, I talked about there were 3 ways to really succeed in this business. One of them would be individual, right? The second one, I'm gonna go back to that one in a second. The third one would be on a team. The middle option is PC, productivity coaching, and leveraging mentors, right? Pick one. Which one works the best for you? What you get on a team, so individual, not a whole lot of accountability. You have mentors and everything for free helping you when you have questions, you call them, they'll walk you through things, right? But they're not doing what the PC does, which is, hey, we're meeting on Monday. Here's what you're doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm going to meet with you again on Monday. You better have this stuff done, right? In PC, right, you're giving 10% to the PC program. However, you're covering your own costs, right, for marketing and client parties and things like that, and it's your business, okay? A team, you're giving a higher split to, well, let's say 50%, but they're covering all of your costs, and you're getting a little bit higher level of you know, taking somebody under your wing and really guiding you. That's really the 3 different ways. Yeah. All right, questions, comments, anything we didn't cover so far? You guys came up with some great stuff that we forgot to talk about. We get it all? Okay. Perfect. All right, so if you guys have separate questions and you want to reach out to me separately just for any insight or advice, like my goal is to put you in the place where you're going to be the happiest, where you're going to thrive. And if it's on a team, awesome. We got dozens, right? Which one's the right one for you, right? And if it turns out you're an individual agent and you just need some more guidance and help, let me get you with the right people and I'll help you. But hopefully I opened your eyes to some questions that will help you self-discover whether or not a team makes sense. And we've got a bunch of wonderful teams here. So again, you heard from some of them on this phone call. If you are looking to join a team, I know most of them are always looking for talent. So definitely reach out to them. All right, guys, before we close it out, anything else?
No,
Thank you
thanks,
so much,
Thanks,
Aubrey.
Scott.
Great.
Thanks, Michael, and also thanks, Sarah.
All right. Yeah, guys. All right. Make it a great day. See
Thank
you later.
you.